Right then, let's go.
Hello everyone and welcome to a very special episode of the 2-on-1 Powerchair Football Podcast powered by MK Battery, coming to you from the studios of INIT Creative in Hull. MK Battery's impact goes beyond supplying the batteries that power our sport. They've played a crucial role in developing the sport's infrastructure, supporting grassroots initiatives and elite competitions across the country. Their ongoing commitment to inclusion, innovation and growth continues to strengthen Powerchair football at every level, and we're really proud to have them back in the podcast for the 24-25 season. This is a very special two-part episode, and part one will be previewing Sunday's highly anticipated John Good Group WFA Cup quarter-final and semi-final showcase at the Derby Arena, one of the biggest domestic events ever delivered in Powerchair football. We'll look at the format, the fan experience and the wider significance of the day. We'll then talk about the WFA Benevolent Fund, a new initiative that's been set up to support players, families and the future of the sport. And then, of course, we will then go on to the very exciting 200-mile Good Road to Derby challenge, which will be undertaken very shortly by Mr. Dean Williams and Nick Woodward. In part two, Alex and I will stick around to preview Sunday's Cup, talking about fixtures, key players to watch, and highlight the significance of the day as a whole. So let's get into it. Let me introduce my guests, my familiar co-host, Mr. Alex Dowding. How are you?
I'm a little jet lagged, right, but I'm good. Yeah, looking forward to this episode. There's some good conversation about to happen, I believe.
No doubt we'll get onto that jet lag later in the episode. I, of course, have Chairperson of the WFA, Mr. Dean Williams. How are you?
I'm very good, Ryan. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Long-time supporter of the WFA and secondary rider for the Good Road to Derby, Mr. Nick Woodward. How are you?
Morning, very good, thank you. Nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Chief Executive Officer of the John Good Group, Adam Walsh. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Looking forward to the chat today.
And lastly, to my left, Rich Quelch, Chief Marketing Officer of the John Good Group and a key driver behind Bring the Noise WFA Cup quarter-final, semi-final showcase at Derby. How are you?
Good. Looking forward to the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we all excited?
I'm very excited. I can't wait to get going for Sunday. We've got quite a lot planned for the day and lots of bits and pieces in, mainly thanks to the great support we've had from the John Good Group in being able to vision this day, as well as the creative ideas that we've worked on together as well. So quite excited about some of those.
Very much so. So let's start with Sunday's showcase. You two were involved last year being the esteemed sponsors of the 23-24 competition of the WFA Cup and have since extended that sponsorship, not just for this season, but next as well. Give me your thoughts on what it was like at the Derby Arena last year and thoughts and expectations for Sunday.
Well, Derby was our first real taste of it. So for me personally, I'd been involved in some of the league fixtures. But Derby was that first real showcase event for the tournament. It was a new arena, right, last year. Yeah. So the experience itself felt like a step up from some of the leagues things we'd done. The seating, some of the way we arranged bits and pieces, the welcome for spectators and players. It was a really nice introduction to the sport, and I think it set a base level for where we wanted to try and move with the cup competition. And it gave us all, I think, that first experience of what the art of the possible could be for this tournament. Clearly, long-standing tournament, it's important to the sport, but it gave us that opportunity to say, well, what more could we do and how could we execute this further? And one of the things I think the John Good Group was always about was, let's use the cup as a way to trial and test things that we can bring into the sport and do other bits and pieces. And I think what you're going to see from last season to this season is some of those ideas starting to be rolled out. And it'll be really nice to get a feel for what works, what doesn't work. We're really relaxed either way. And then look at that as something that we can build on for the season afterwards. So I'm really excited about some of the plans that we've got for the weekend. There's been a load of work by you guys, especially in terms of executing on some of those ideas. And, you know, when we look at some of the anticipated spectator numbers and some of the other bits and pieces we've got going on, I'm really hopeful for the weekend that we feel like it's a step forward for the sport and this cup competition. But equally, I don't think we're going to stop there. Rich, would you add anything else to that? You're very hands-on with some of the delivery.
Yeah, I mean, the team that we've got, and we're working with the guys at the WFA, it's just a good chemistry, isn't there? We just want to make things happen and bring the noise is kind of the anchorage in it for this year, and I think we'll definitely get that on Sunday. But just from my own naive perspective from last year, my first taster of Powerchair football, I still can't get over the skill set and the technique of the players in terms of how they manipulate the ball. And there was 2 or 3 others from John Group actually came to watch at Derby as well. And we were just amazed by it. And I think that's probably why you're seeing some of the numbers that are coming this year, because they're so intrigued by the ability of these players and the excitement it brings as well. And I think we had a taste of that at St George's Park and the noise it was generating. I think we'll probably 10x that on Sunday, in my opinion. And I think, as Adam's put, I think the foundation from last year to then testing elements this year really does set the stall out for an unbelievable 24-25 Cup. But going into next year, I think there's going to be something special.
I think that's why you gave it the title, Bring the Noise. I think your experience at St George's Park and looking to replicate that with a WFA-led competition was really key. So anyone that's listening, if you're coming to the Derby Arena, please do bring that noise. Yeah. It's going to be really exciting.
And if you guys are exciting, then our community, I can absolutely tell you, are buzzing at the thought of doing it. So that doesn't just go with the 8 teams that are going to be at Derby Arena. That's other players within the sport, spectators, that wider community. They are absolutely buzzing. And I know we have conversations about this all the time, but you guys, that's on you in terms of what you're doing and what you've brought to the community. And I always feel I have to represent the community as well, and rightly so. That's a huge thank you, because you are literally making a huge difference to what you're putting on in terms of facilitating that, but it's within them as well in terms of what they feel as a result of how we're pushing the sport and how we're growing it. And you guys, you know my thoughts on that, but I'll never get sick of saying that. That's a massive, massive credit and huge thank you to you guys.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And just on that topic quickly, obviously, I've been working with some of your staff behind the scenes, and I just want to give a huge shout out to Phil, Nina, Megan and Mel particularly. I know there's others in and around working behind the scenes, but those 4 particularly have been absolutely instrumental to what hopefully will be the best delivered Powerchair football event in this country.
Yeah, I think that's going to be surprise a few people. So if you're listening and aren't aware, we've put we collectively with a lot of support from you guys, we've put a lot of effort into making sure we've got spectators and numbers and going to create an atmosphere there. So last year, I think if anyone was there, we had 1 set of tiered seating. We've had to go with more this year because of the ticket sales, as it were. It's free to attend. If you're listening now and want to come on Sunday, feel free, jump on Eventbrite and look for us and come along. Free to attend, but the numbers of people that have registered for the free tickets is incredible, really. We're pretty confident it's going to be the best attended Powerchair event in England.
I think that goes without question, but I think it will rank highly in terms of worldwide delivered events.
So we're looking for a really big atmosphere as well. So if you are coming, don't take for granted the numbers. Come and bring the noise. Let's make this atmosphere one to have to beat in the future with with a lot of effort, because the effort that's gone in this time round has been brilliant. So let's set a standard again.
I think it's the numbers is amazing, and obviously we'll achieve records and all that kind of good stuff. But it's what I really want to see is the players' reactions to the crowds that are actually coming to watch them. Because imagine the feeling of actually rolling onto the pitch and ready to go, and you've got this atmosphere around them. I think that's what I'm looking forward to, seeing how they perform in front of people who genuinely want to come and see and watch this amazing sport.
Yeah, brilliant. And from a coach's head, just putting that one on, if you've got young players that are developing to play in front of a big crowd, for the future, if you're looking to go on and play for England, this is also all part of that, creating great players for our national team as well. So this has got wider implications, and the more it goes on and the more we think about it and how it can affect the game in this country, it's incredible. Really
they're great points. I think there's a learning aspect there, isn't there, for the players, to exactly that point. Can you bring we've got top quality players as we know on show, and some that are top quality players that aren't on show on that particular day when it comes to Sunday. But there's a wonderful test there about can you bring your A game to a place which has got that kind of atmosphere. So that's a super test. All about involvement. And
looking through the teams that we've got there, there's a number of players that are under 15, under 14. So that experience for them is going to be incredible and also help build their skill set and their ability to play in pressure environments as well. So that's incredible. I just want to pick up something you touched on as well. The fact that we've even considered fan experience as a thing shows the steps that we've taken in the last 3-4 years as well. So, you came and experienced our National League, and our National League was set up originally as a sports league. It wasn't a spectator event, and it's grown, and we've got elements of that now. But actually, being able to go to Derby Arena gives us that opportunity to really go, what's it going to be like for the players? What's their experience of entering the venue, being in the venue, having that there? But also, what's the experience for the spectators? How can we help engage them in the sport and get them to really understand it? So we've got a few things in line with that that we did last year. Of course, we had the commentary headsets. We've got those again. Had to order more because we've got more people coming, which is great. And this year we've also added a programme, so spectators come and have a programme with a little bit of an explanation in there of the game and some of the laws of the game and what to look out for. So we've tried to really tailor that experience to make it as best as we can for people coming. So if you're not coming yet, get on Eventbrite, come and get a ticket. And so thanks a lot for you guys as well, for the innovation, the conversations we've had about going, this is what we want to talk about, this is what we want it to be for our sport, and you guys have embraced that wholeheartedly and taken it on, so really appreciate it.
And one final note on that as well, of course, as a trustee, so Al and I sit there in that position, as custodians of the sport and people responsible for leading it, this is a constant push for us as well. So the more times we put on events like this, the more the expectation grows, and I kind of love that, because I'm a bit weird like that, and I want us to keep pushing ourselves in terms of what we put on. So all good. So excited for Sunday.
Just before we move on, just to add some context as to what Sunday will look like, we're hosting the quarterfinals of the John Good Group WFA Cup for 24-25. So at 10:15, which is the first set of kickoffs, we have Nottinghamshire Powerchair Football Club versus Leeds Charich Powerchair Football Club. That will be on court A, and then on court B, kicking off at the same time, we will have Villa Rockets Lions versus Aspire. The winners of which will progress to the semi-finals, and then the second set of quarterfinals will kick off from around about 11:30. Obviously, this needs to factor in potential penalties, extra time, so they're fairly loose, the timings, but 11:30 as a guide. We have a really exciting fixture between West Bromwich Albion, the reigning champions, versus Newcastle United Foundation, and we also have Villa Rockets versus Teesside. Following them, we'll have a short break, we'll have a reset, and then we'll get ready to conduct the semi-final draw, and then the semi-finals will take place, I believe, at 1:45 and 1:40 and 3 o'clock. So, as mentioned, fairly flexible, because being a cup competition, should fixtures end in draws, we will have to conduct 5 minutes each way of extra time and penalties, but it should be really exciting. But in part 2 of this podcast, once Dean, Nick, Adam and Rich depart to start the Good Road to Derby, Alex and I will preview each of the fixtures in a little bit more detail. So on that topic, I think it brings us nicely onto the Good Road to Derby, and that's obviously woven into the Benevolent Fund. Nick, Dean, give us an overview, firstly on the Benevolent Fund, the overarching purpose of what you're doing, and then we'll go on to your challenge.
Yeah, brilliant. So I'll take that bit, Nick, to start with. And then, did you say in the introduction, before we go any further, Ryan, that he was the secondary rider?
I'm all right with that.
Yeah, I'm not. So to be clear, to clarify for everyone, Nick is definitely not the secondary rider. That's my role, and I'm firmly claiming that one. So we'll go with that. So Nick will talk us through an aspect of, because he's been absolutely amazing, and he'll always be a little bit embarrassed by me saying this, particularly in a public setting like this, but he's been amazing in terms of logistics. But I'll get to the point about the Benevolent Fund first and foremost, and then you can take them through that, Nick, in terms of a little bit of detail about the route and what the next couple of days look like. So the Benevolent Fund, let's start with that. Benevolent Fund was set up to help our community. So that's our existing community and people that might come into our community, people looking to play the sport, who might experience hardship. And the theory behind the Benevolent Fund is to create more sustainability within the sport. We know that our clubs and our community at times will find that difficult to raise money and to pay for escalating costs, but also just the pure cost that's associated with our sport, with some of the chairs, et cetera, being an obvious example to that. So for us, I kind of looked beyond what do we do on a day-to-day basis in terms of running costs that need to be there, and how do we create a structure that sits outside of that from a sustainability perspective that means if those events happen, we've still got a sport that continues to grow and first and foremost, bottom line, is able to be run and put on for our wonderful athletes and our wonderful community. And that's the concept of the Benevolent Fund. So just to be clear on this and to create expectations for people, this is not something that's easily accessible or accessible at all. Probably we'll see how it goes for the next, I would say, 3 years. So the fund needs to build. That means that we all work hard to generate the money into the fund, and then we have things to decide when it gets to a certain level around investment decisions, which give us a return on that, and we just keep growing and growing. And Nick and I have the pleasure of kickstarting the Benevolent Fund in terms of the challenge, the Good Road to Derby we've put on, which has been very well logistically mapped out. But we should rightly, and we'll give that a bit more clout in a few moments' time, but rightly other people have started to do their own events that also give towards the Benevolent Fund. I love that. That was the concept of it. It's not about me. It's not about the first challenge that we take on, and therefore that raises the money. This is something that will be live and enables anybody to give to the Benevolent Fund, whether they're an individual giver or somebody wants to raise money for charity doing their own, whatever it is, event and challenge that they take on. And the amount of people that have come to me and pledged to do challenges later this year, next year, the year after that, that's what it's about. So we now have a central source where people can understand that when they give the money, it's not going to be eaten up with just day-to-day running costs. This has a pure aim towards hardship and helping people and helping the sport itself sustain for future years.
Do you mind also touching on the legacy part that's also been introduced to it?
Yeah, it's a great point, Ryan. So, I mean, with the help of Slater and Gordon, with our growing partnership with those guys, if you've given to it, you'll see that you have an opportunity to choose to give a legacy gift of kindness in your will. And of course, you don't have to do that, but it's the right thing to do. It always feels very awkward to talk about those things, but it's what a lot of other charitable organisations do. And I think if we get that right in terms of a wording, which we hopefully we have, it's a choice thing. You don't have to do it, but that's something that's just would be a lovely touch from somebody that wants to do that. You know, if they experience that kind of situation, to again have something that's ring fenced and they can be absolutely certain where it's going, and it's towards leaving their own legacy towards growing the future of the sport and sustaining it. I think that's a really lovely touch. So, of course, that's a big part of the fund as well.
And just quickly, we've obviously got an active fundraiser at the moment, fundraising for said Benevolent Fund, and that's Matthew's Coast to Coast Walk.
Yeah, amazing.
Doing an incredible effort, individual effort at that. Go on.
Would you like a live update of his fundraising total so far?
Please do.
Matthew is currently walking coast to coast. He's currently on his fundraiser, £3,708.75.
Unbelievable effort.
Good effort.
Incredible.
So I checked in on him yesterday, and I believe he is just venturing into the North York Moors. So he started on April 29th in St Bees on the west coast in the Lake District, and he's ventured all the way through where he will end in Whitby on Monday. It's certainly the projected end date, where he is very keen to end his journey with a well-earned fish and chips and a pint.
I think he's had a few well-earned pints.
I think he's probably indulged a little bit, hasn't he?
It's like a large pub crawl coast to coast. Yeah.
He messaged me this morning, Matthew, which just says it all about him as a character. So a trustee, just someone that has really helped and been instrumental behind the WFA growth. He's an amazing guy, and he took the time, despite his own challenge, to message Nick and I this morning to say all the very best. But, you know, Matthew, if you will listen to this, I'm sure at some point, and, you know, that's outstanding effort to do something like that solo as well. That's a huge thing to do. So thank you so much for what you're raising and your efforts in terms of the monetary side of it. That's amazing. That makes a huge difference.
So Matthew's platform is on People's Fundraising. So if you Google People's Fundraising, Matthew Stevens Walk WFA, Matthew Stevens Walk WFA with People's Fundraising in there, it's top hit on Google. So you can go to his page, see his progress and donate there as well. Also, coincidentally, a 200-mile walk.
Yeah. Very, very
It's funny how
similar.
this is happening. So we will accept other challenges to raise money for the Benevolent Fund. It doesn't have to involve 200 miles, just to make that clear.
And alternatively to that, we produce and provide all of the links over the WFA social media. So not just Matthew's challenge, but Dean and Nick's challenge that will be setting off very shortly.
And other search engines are available.
And before we go on to the Good Road to Derby specifically, obviously another fundraising effort we've had for the Benevolent Fund is the gold-lined WFA pin badges. Are you aware of how many we've sold up to this date?
Number not. So money-wise, in terms of the pounds and pence side of it, I think we're into, forgive me, Lee, as a treasurer, if we've got this wrong, probably about £1,300
Amazing.
just from selling the badges, which people love.
Yeah.
So I expect those to be on show and more available on Sunday.
So yeah, and that was what I was going to go on to say. Sunday at the Derby Arena, if you can locate one of us here, we will facilitate a purchase, and they're very smart. And that any and all proceeds go straight to said Benevolent Fund.
Yeah, they'll be on the welcome desk as well as you come in.
Yeah.
Where the programmes and commentary headsets are also available. Cash or card, any major credit cards, and Apple Pay and Google Pay also accepted.
We're getting good at this now.
Yeah, we are.
Still no crypto.
Still no cryptocurrency, sadly, but we'll see how the world pans out first before we start accepting that, I think.
And lastly, tied into the Benevolent Fund, we're going to be hosting a raffle on Sunday. And it's a huge thank you to Nina from the John Good Group, whose brother works over in New York, I believe.
Correct.
And he has very generously provided us with a signed Wayne Rooney shirt and a signed Sergio Aguero shirt.
Brilliant.
So Manchester United and Manchester City respectively. And again, all proceeds go straight to the Benevolent Fund. So with regards to that, it's probably best you locate the link online to purchase your tickets. And that can also be found across the WFA's social media.
And if you're attending on Sunday in the programme, there's a QR code you can use to get straight to the raffle price or raffle ticket purchase pages as well.
Perfect. So that progresses us nicely onto the Good Road to Derby.
So I'm going to massage my legs and Nick will take us through the route and the itinerary.
So please do. It's a 200-mile cycling challenge that will start here in Hull. I won't go into too much detail. That's your job to do. But please give us an overview of the challenge and what inspired you to kind of take this on.
So when I first met Dean with coffee somewhere, he said, well, what else could we do? And I said, well, I like cycling. And he said, well, I don't.
We'll do that then.
But he was associated with Sleaford Football Club, so maybe cycle from Sleaford to somewhere or Grantham to Nottingham. And then he, probably 6 months ago, said, I've got an idea. Let's cycle from John Good Group to, say, Nottingham. Oh, hang on, there's some sponsors in Manchester. Let's cycle to them. Oh, let's do it the weekend of the Cup. So slowly it became just a bike ride to the Good Road to Derby from, the great Cup sponsors. So today, shortly, we'll head up the Humber River through into kind of Yorkshire and Lancashire, Manchester, I think. No sponsors visited, although I think a couple of the wheelchair players are going to meet us along the way. We'll stay overnight in a place called Delft, just east of Oldham. Then tomorrow morning, we'll go into Manchester, where we'll pick up 3 riders from Slater and Gordon, who are joining us, Michael, Richard and Alice. I think a friend of yours is joining us too, Kath, down from Oldham. Then we'll go to UA92 and then to Optegra. And I can't believe how lucky we are. They're all within about 5 miles of each other in Manchester. Otherwise, this might have been a much bigger challenge. Then we'll roll through Staffordshire, quick lunch in Uttoxeter, and then into St George's Park.
Lovely.
Hopefully a little rest at St George's Park, and then a nice short roll on Sunday into Derby Arena, where we'll be pleased to have a rest, won't we?
I think that's true. And whatever state I'm in, it doesn't matter. Then it's enjoying football. That sounds, when you describe it like that, it sounds idyllic. It sounds like a pleasurable couple of days.
Exactly.
I know,
Which it will be.
I know Dean was hoping to access some of the England national team physiotherapy at St
Yes.
George's Park, but I don't think
Can't do
they're
it.
on site.
No.
Nick alluded to some of the journey and some of the partners. Can you expand on said partners, kind of their role within Powerchair Football at the moment, and some of the key contacts within them?
Yeah, well, I mean, John Good Group kind of speaks for itself, really. So the pleasure of starting off from their premises, that's absolutely the right thing to do, and then ending on your event, your cup, which is superb. And how many times can I say a thank you for what you guys have done, which is incredible. So when we go to Manchester, we take in the sponsorship, as Nick has alluded to already, in terms of celebrating their sponsorship and what they do with us. Slater and Gordon, they've come newly into the sport, as many people, if not everyone's aware, in our community. Slater and Gordon, lawyers have pretty much chosen Charity of the Year. We had to go through a very competitive process on that, and we came out the other end. And again, with my thank you, that's our community as a superpower that's enabled that, which is just fantastic. And from that point onwards, I mean, a special shout out to Mike Dunleavy, who's just been absolutely awesome with us, just become a real fan of the sport really quickly, and their generosity in terms of giving, but also how they're prepared to work with us is just brilliant at a very early stage in our relationship with those guys, but they've just been amazing. Optegra, again, I've known that organisation for some time, and they are a National League sponsor, so our Premiership and our Championship, again, purely from a funding perspective, what they enable us to put on the way that we do that, with the logistics that have to be considered and getting everyone where they need to be, that's hugely important for us. So as the headline sponsor in terms of our National League, that's a really important relationship. When we turn up at their premises, I know the managing director will be there, Matt Pickering, and also one or two members of his senior team as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing the guys. And with UA92, we have a partnership with UA92, which is around helping us with some of our analysis and some of the insight that they can bring in terms of their experience into the sport from a tech perspective, but also from a well-being perspective in some of our athletes. And again, I'm really comfortable where we are with our relationship with those guys in terms of getting them involved and hoping that will grow to certain things. And then the FA, what can I say about the FA? When we have our little mini rest for the last morning at St George's Park, the FA have just been instrumental in, and let's be honest, putting on the sport and enabling disabled athletes to play the beautiful game that they've probably never been able to play any version of it at all when they've been through their schooling, and when they've looked at it and thought, my dream is to play football, and not being able to do that, just being a pure spectator, to give them that opportunity to play it on the platform that they give, incredible. And then we'll end up at Derby Arena in whatever state we're in. Who the guys at will know more about this, but the guys at Derby Arena have been absolutely fantastic with us in terms of getting our needs and understanding that, and then putting on something that we keep pushing their parameters and their boundaries, and there you go. So no, it's when Nick was explaining about how this has evolved as a concept, it always felt that there was opportunity to celebrate all of the people that work with us that are en route. There are others. We've talked about MK Battery in particular, who sponsor the podcast. There are others that help and aid what we do. Some want mentions, some don't want mentions. But to pick the route that we've picked, to be able to take in quite a number of them, fantastic.
And just for fullness, what time do you expect to be at Derby Arena on Sunday morning? So you've got that big welcome parade for you.
You know my thoughts on that. It's about what happens on the day with the players, and it's about the tournament. But you know, that's lovely if that happens, and you've already maybe get out of bed early on the final morning, Brian, just to get there about 9:30ish.
Yeah,
I think. Let's keep that a little bit fluid, but we're aware of when everything starts and how busy that will be. So, look, first and foremost, you know, if people wanted to celebrate us arriving, well, that's just a lovely touch. It's with no expectation from us at all. Nick and I are quite low key on stuff like that, but we understand that for some people that would be a very important thing for them to do. But we expect to be there about 9:30.
And training as a whole, how has that been?
Painful. So no, it's 6 months. So I'm actually, if I allow myself to be quite self-indulgent, I'm quite proud that for 6 months I've stuck to a very rigorous plan with my, what I call you, accountability partner. Nick's been fantastic.
Secondary rider, sure.
No, that's straight, very quickly out. But no, Nick's been brilliant. So not just logistically in terms of how we're going to do this, he has been amazing in terms of training plan and putting that in front of me. And he hasn't over policed that at all. You probably haven't needed to do it too much. He sent me a lovely text the other day saying they couldn't have done any more. So from a prep wise, from a novice as a cyclist, I feel good. Twinges aside, I feel really, really good and looking forward to it. So it's done me the world of good. You can see, surely, from a physical perspective.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we can.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Exactly, it should have been the first thing, surely, that we mentioned. So no, it's done me the world of good as well. So I'm really grateful for that.
We won't delve into it too much, but this is the perfect train for Nick as he sets off on a fairly monumental cycle challenge for the WFA Benevolent Fund later in the year. So we won't go into it, but any details you want to share, please do.
Well, he did at one point. He did disrespectfully say that this was his training event. It's my major event. It's his.
I don't know
event.
if he said. We met each other outside the hotel yesterday, and I said, "How'd you get here?" Just cycled up. Which is a pretty comparable distance to your challenge that you're undertaking from today.
Yeah,
so
I'm a novice, complete novice. That's why I'm a secondary rider.
But you'll be doing a fairly significant challenge.
We'll kind of say more about that after the Good Road to Derby, but again in the kind of theme of Matt and Dean doing things they've always wanted to do or incredible things. There's something I've always wanted to do, and the opportunity's arisen this summer, so I'll be on a really big bike ride in a couple of months.
Don't come much bigger, do they?
Not much bigger.
He's being very low key.
We'll let you be coy for now.
Right.
We need to get our thinking hats on as to what challenge we undertake.
There you go.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
Let's have we'll have a discussion over this weekend whilst they're burning the calories. We can.
I think it would have been
hold
better
you
if
to
they
it.
did it on a tandem bike.
Yeah.
Can we change last minute?
If I'm still secondary rider, yes, that really appeals 100%. I feel like I haven't got to put in anywhere near as much effort then.
Domestique. I'll take domestique.
So we don't have much else to discuss with regards to the challenge, the Benevolent Fund and Sunday. So I suppose it will be saying goodbye to you and good luck.
There we go. There's no turning back now, Nick.
There isn't.
Final thoughts?
Just raring to go, aren't we? Really?
Yeah, I
You've got to get pedaling and
kind of want to do it now. I woke up this morning thinking that I'm looking forward to the podcast and a chance to spend some time with you guys, and then you just want to get on with it now. That point where you've trained for it, you just want to go through it now and do it. So we'll be back to the wonderful Quarry House, the headquarters of the John Good Group, in a few moments. Short drive back across, and then the bikes are ready. They're all prepped. Water is loaded on the bike, and off we go.
And
We're ready.
We'll be posting every and anything over the WFA social media where you can follow the journey and you can obviously support via donations. But no, good luck.
Well, I'm going to not let you guys away with that before we just kind of walk out the door. I just want to say, people will know this within our community, but Ryan and Alex and others, but you guys, let's be fair, taking a lead on this. What you're putting together here and what you've already led and what you will execute in terms of what we end up doing on Sunday is remarkable stuff. And we know that extended team that you give us at John Good Group's amazing. And Ryan's absolutely rightly played and named them, compliments to them already. But it's a thank you from me, guys, because it's, you're giving up an awful lot of time to put on something, and our community will know that, put on something that's just an amazing show and performance. And it's a huge thank you from me for both of you guys. So that was always going to be the last point I ended with. That I have no excuse. I have to get off my backside and then get back on it on a bike.
Brilliant. Don't forget to send us videos, updates.
We'll be doing that.
We'll be doing all that onto socials. Good luck.
And thanks for everyone. Thanks for everyone that sponsored.
We'll see you in Derby.
We will.
That's right.
Next
Yeah,
time all
in
together.
whatever state that is.
Yeah.
But
Right.
we'll be there. We'll be there.
Let's go.
Good to see you guys. Good to see you.
Right then. Oh, should say as well, Adam and Rich are going with you, just to see you off at the John
We are.
Group.
We're going down.
We're going down.
So best of luck all of you.
Great seeing you, buddy.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Cheers.
Mic drop. Exit stage left.
See you later.
Right. So see you there, guys.
See
Yeah,
you
I'll see you
Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah. If there's anything you need or whatever over the weekend.
Cheers.
Right then, they've gone.
They've gone indeed. So let's preview the Cup. We touched on little bits throughout part 1 of the podcast. Very exciting. 8 teams all vying it out for 2 available positions at the St George's Park final as part of the FA Disability Cup on June 29th. Excuse me. First fixture, Nottinghamshire versus Leeds Chariots. 10:15 kickoff. I will be on commentary alongside David D for that one, so really excited to call the action live. Give me your thoughts, expectations on that.
I think it's a really interesting matchup, actually. It's obviously 2 teams that know each other pretty well and will have played each other a number of times. And the difference will be, how do they respond to the environment? Both teams are capable of winning. You probably say Leeds are slight favourites, but both teams are capable, and it really depends on how they perform in that environment.
Yeah, Leeds, certainly when we're referencing the Optegra Premiership standings, are currently second to Nottingham's 10th. So competing at very different ends of the league, but this is the beauty of the cup competition. It's open for anyone to put on a show, to really take the game to the other. When you look at their head-to-heads in said league, 5 wins to Leeds, 2 wins to Nottingham's, 2 draws. So Leeds, again, have that slight edge. I believe Nottinghamshire's first time competing in the quarterfinals, semi-finals of the Derby Showcase. Yep. Their best runs in the cup came in 2015 and 2016 respectively, where they reached the semi-final. So it shows that they have the ability to reach that stage, and I believe there's a very similar core of players that was competing then. So I think we're going to see an interesting game. If you're Nottinghamshire, you're trying to keep it compact. You're trying to prevent early goals from Leeds, because if Leeds get that early goal, they will dictate the play, and you could see a fairly wide margin. But the longer it goes on, the longer it remains goalless, the more I think that will play into Nottinghamshire's hands.
I totally agree. And the other thing to say is, as a coach, and I've coached a team that was not the favourites in a cup quarter final, and you know what you're looking to do is, like you say, keep it tight and keep yourself in the game. But because it's the cup, and it's not a National League weekend, so you haven't got 4 or 5 games to prepare for, you've only got 1. You, in training, you could be quite honed on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to attempt, and come up with a specific plan for the team you're playing. So Nottingham will have had an opportunity to really prepare for this game in a way they wouldn't normally get the opportunity to prepare for games in the National League, where they come thick and fast in batches of 4 or 5. That, combined with the atmosphere, kind of creates a bit more of a potential level playing field and an opportunity for them to get something from that game. So yeah, good match-up, that one.
No, and just their route to the quarterfinals, Leeds Chariots beat Manchester United 5-1. So a very comprehensive victory in round 3. Dan Rigby with a hat-trick, so he's bringing fantastic form into this quarterfinal showcase. Lewis Harris is one of the standout players, or has been so, in the Premiership this season, so one to watch. And Jack Maxwell, I believe, is the current top goal scorer. So there's a lot of threats that Nottinghamshire are going to have to try and nullify if they're going to be successful. So that was a fantastic win. Nottinghamshire just about edged past Middlesbrough, 1-0, very close. Adam Langley with the goal. So, as mentioned, yeah, I think if Nottinghamshire can keep it compact, I've liked them in the league this season. If and when they've experimented with Matt Hadfield, obviously typically a very reserved goalkeeper, he likes to let Adam and Sam Langley take the game to the opposition. I suspect it will be a very much a case of 1 and 3. So Matt Hadfield will be rooted to the confines of his goalkeeper area for large percentages of the game. But that's probably, they're going to have to play the opponent, and that's how you're going to have to try and nullify.
And the other thing to note that is just chucks a slight variance on history is that, of course, the cup isn't classified. So that means for both teams that the restrictions placed on them in terms of lineups for classifications for a maximum of 2 PF2s isn't the case when it comes to the cup. So that can be useful or hindrance, depending on your squad setup and your squad makeup. So that's an extra factor to consider.
And do you know Nottinghamshire hold the record win in the Cup? Can you hazard a guess as to
the record win?
Win.
That's a good stat. This I'm going to go with 14.
14.
Yeah.
Their biggest win in the Cup is 22-0 versus Darlington. Any and all stats are provided by Jeff Lewis, so a shout out to him as always. I think Leeds' highest scoreline in the Cup is 19-0. So yeah, Leeds are going to be favourites, but the Cup does have a habit of delivering surprises. So hopefully we get to see a really competitive game. Two Premiership teams fighting at different ends of the league, but this is kind of a hard reset and a chance to put on a show in front of a crowd. And I think players, teams have a responsibility to, with a spectacle like this, with new eyes on the sport, to really show what Powerchair Football was about. Last year at the FA Disability Cup final, Aspire and West Brom, who typically play a really cagey game, put on an incredible spectacle and kind of sacrificed some stability, some of their defensive play to show what Powerchair Football was about. So I hope that across our 8 teams, they just really embrace it and go for it in their respective games.
I think that's also a great culture to try and develop within the Cup as a way of playing and an attempt to way of playing, because it creates the great games and it creates the great victories. So there's a lot on the line for teams if they do that. So I wholeheartedly agree. If we can get some of that approach to the game, we'll be in for a great spectacle. Now, at the same time, on pitch B, we have second quarter final. Villa Rockets Lions versus Aspire PFC. For those of you who don't know, Villa Rocket Lions are the second team to Villa Rockets. So they are really punching above their weight to an extent already by getting to the quarterfinals. Aspire PFC, well, what a record they've got, A, in the Cup, but B, in Powerchair Football in England overall. Obviously, with John Boulding, greatest Powerchair Football player ever to have played the game for some. I'm only putting that in JB just in case people want to have an argument with me. But at the same time, they've got plenty of other talented players in the squad as well. So they're a force to be reckoned with. It's unlikely that we're going to see an upset in this game. But wow, what an upset it would be if it did happen.
This is the David versus Goliath, isn't it? Yes. As you've said, Villa Rockets Lions, the only championship team competing in the quarterfinals against 7-time champions Aspire. They lead the way in terms of cup wins, and across their history, they have a 90% win rate in the cup. So it's slightly daunting looking at it if you're from Villa Rockets Lions, but just like I said regarding Nottinghamshire, come and enjoy it. It's an amazing achievement that you're even here, part of this quarterfinals. You've exceeded expectation. And just a reference on their route to the quarterfinals, they beat Muscle Warriors 3-1. And Muscle Warriors are tipped to win the championship this season. So a really fantastic way to book your spot at the Derby Arena. You've alluded to John Boulding. He's the record goal scorer in the WFA Cup with 55 goals. So it shows just how important he is to them in this competition.
It's interesting you mentioned Muscle Warriors. They were here last year, of course, at Derby. Yep. And they very much knew that they were in for a difficult day, potentially in terms of results. But they came and had a great time. They loved the day and really enjoyed it. So for Villa Rockets Lions, yes, dream. You never know, but also come and enjoy the day no matter what. Come and have a great day. Soak up the atmosphere. Learn everything you possibly can from the day and what's there. And just keep that dream in the back of your head as well.
To pair with Aspire's 7 titles, they've also had 12 final appearances. So they've come short on 5 of those occasions, but it just shows their pedigree in the Cup. If we're spotlighting individual players, you've spoken about John Boulding. I think Rosie Hodgson will play a really big part. Her league form has been fantastic, so hopefully that translates to the Cup competition. And when we're looking at Villa Rockets Lions, I'd be hard pressed not to mention Naglismont Villas. He's a Republic of Ireland international, has come over to England for the 24-25 season to test his ability, to prepare himself for the upcoming EPFA Nations Cup in September. And what a player he has been. I think across his 12 or 13 games, he's got double digits for both goals and assists, and he's been involved in 85% of all of Villa Rocket Lions goals scored since he was introduced to the team. So if they're going to have success, I very much suspect it will be from him. But I'm really keen to see the central battle between John Balding and Mason Hindley. It's going to be a really physical, demanding, grueling 40 minutes, and hopefully we get to see a really entertaining game. And lastly, Nikki Baker currently plays for Villa Rockets Lions, typically as the designated goalkeeper. She was formerly of Aspire and won 2 WFA Cups, so she's bringing a little bit of experience to that inexperienced side.
Great stuff. Right, 11:30 a.m. The next 2 quarterfinals up first on pitch A. What a juicy tie this is. Midlands representation again with West Bromwich Albion and Newcastle United Foundation, PFC, representing the North East. So 2 teams in contention for the Premier League title. 2 teams that, when they've gone at each other, they go at each other. They're both capable of aggressive football, of real high pressure play. And so this could be the tie of the day.
It's Clash of the Titans. This wouldn't be out of place at St George's Park on June 29th. And hopefully that just builds the picture as to how significant this is. I'm pretty sure neither of them would have wanted to draw the other at this stage of the competition, but what a game this will be. West Bromwich Albion, reigning champions in both the Premiership and the Cup, so it's theirs to lose. They're unbeaten all season in the league and Cup competitions, so Newcastle are going to have to try and do what no team has been able to do thus far. But if any team is able to do it, it's probably Newcastle. They have some incredible players. They've recently met in the National League where it was a draw, I believe. And they have the players, they're growing in confidence, and they've dipped slightly out the Premiership race. I think they're 5th, West Bromwich Albion are 1st, and whilst mathematically they can go on to win the title, they would need a number of results to go in their favour. So it's probably their best chance at silverware is this Cup competition. So I think they'll go for it. I really do.
And we've had conversations, and I've had conversations with others about who you're tipping for the Cup this year, and I've just got a sneaky feeling about Newcastle. They're a team that can wear their heart on their sleeve when they play and really raise their game in pressured scenarios and difficult tight games and situations, which Derby Arena against West Bromwich Albion is. And so I just got a feeling it could be Newcastle United's year.
I don't disagree, but I will say, with them being that 11:30 kickoff, if they're drawn into the first semi-final at 1:40, there's just about a 2-hour turnaround in games. And I think that West Brom game, or the winner of that game, it will take a lot out of them. So they're going to hope or wish for a more favourable draw in the semi-final because they're going to put so much energy into that quarter-final. I think we'll see that have ramifications.
If they win.
If it's irrelevant of the opposition, whether it's West Brom or Newcastle, I think that game will take a lot out of the eventual winner. And maybe we'll see some mental fatigue or some of that play into the semi-final scheduled at 1:40 or 3 o'clock respectively. If they can have, if obviously it's a draw, so we can't determine who plays what when. But if and where possible, they're going to want to be the second semi-final just to give themselves a little bit more recovery. If we're highlighting particular players, I think for Newcastle United Foundation, Ethan Fisher has been an absolute standout all season. Brilliant. Was recently part of the England development squad that was successful in Largs and lifting the developmental home nations. So he's bringing some confidence into this one. And then if you're looking at West Brom, of course, Chris Gordon plays such a key role in the way they play, the way they set up. But Dylan Kelso and Brad Bates will be that threat in terms of creativity and goal scoring. Their route to the final, quarterfinal, West Bromwich Albion beat their sister club Throssels 3-1, and Newcastle United, very convincing win over Leeds Dynamo 7-0. So they're bringing form not just from the cup, but from the league as well. And it's a toss of a coin. It really is. You've said that you would potentially favour Newcastle to go on and do it. We'll progress now onto the final quarter-final, Villa Rockets versus Teesside. I think Teesside.
I can understand why you're saying that. They've developed a real steeliness about their play. Obviously, they've got some fantastic, talented players, and they're using their squad really nicely to manage games as well. So I completely understand why you're saying that. I'm going with the magic of the cup, being that little difference between league title contenders and cup winners.
Anyone that follows the WFA on social media would have seen a post I put out yesterday regarding finalists at the St George's Park final. And of the last 7 years or 6 seasons, taking the COVID one out of consideration, there's only been 4 different teams present. So my hope is that we see a new team present at St George's Park. We're very familiar with seeing West Brom and Aspire, and if they perform in the quarterfinals and semi-finals respectively, should they reach there, they will of course deserve and earn their spot to be present on that televised final. But there's something about a new team experiencing St George's Park for the first time, and I hope one of these teams that has never been present has a chance. And mathematically, it's very likely. We've had West Brom Aspire, Newcastle United Foundation and Northern Thunder. Obviously, Northern Thunder no longer a team competing in England. So there's real potential for one of the other 5 to be present. Villa Rockets were the last team to be present at St George's Park, I think 2016-17, but it's been a long time since then.
Depending how the semi-final draw goes, of course, there is the potential for 2 new teams to be there.
Very much so. Very much so.
So the scenario that we've got going into this day at Derby is all of it is on the table. All possibilities are there, and for the probably first time in a few years, there's a significantly good chance that one of those things could happen. Teesside and Newcastle have definitely drawn up level with the likes of West Brom and Aspire in terms of potential performance capabilities. Some of their consistency in the league still needs just that next step, but in terms of being able to put performance in, they can, and that's what it is all about in the Cup. Leeds Chariots as well, don't let's rule them out. They've got the potential to put on a performance. They've beaten Aspire a couple of times in the league, and done so under pressured situations. So there's teams that can put in performances, and so we can end up with potentially 2 new teams at St George's Park.
Irrelevant of who's present at St George's Park, I just hope they bring the noise, as we've spoken about. Yes. What was really fantastic was 2023 when Newcastle were there for the first time, and obviously they're a very football-mad city, and they brought the noise, they brought the support. So irrelevant of who's there, if you're bringing the noise, it will be an incredible spectacle. With this one, Teesside, probably the favourites. They boast a better record in the league. Their route to the quarterfinals was via Greenbank 3-1. They won that one. Villa Rockets beat GBG Knights 3-0. If you're looking at overall cup wins as a percentage, Teesside have a 61% cup win rate. Villa have a 55% win rate. I think this will play out fairly similarly to the Nottinghamshire versus Leeds one. The longer it remains goalless, the more I think it will play into Villa Rockets' hands. But that means nullifying the fairly potent attack of Teesside, comprised of Mitch Tinkler, Ed Common and Tyler Reeve most notably. So a lot to think about if you're Villa Rockets coaches or players, but an all-Premiership clash, and Villa Rockets are dangerous. They've got experience in Dave Lewis and Amir Ali, and they've also paired that with some fantastic youth players. So it's really going to be interesting, and we will see. Sunday, 11:30, that one kicks off. I've said I've kind of tipped Teesside to win the cup. I don't think we're going to see a cup and league winner be the same team this year.
I totally agree. But you mentioned a player there in Dave Lewis. We're talking about cup magic and pulling out big performances. There's a player that can pull out a massive performance. He can dominate games. And he's, again, I've used the phrase already, but a player that wears his heart on his sleeve.
Yeah.
And in those environments, those are the players that seem to thrive and come to the fore. So I wouldn't rule out Villa Rockets doing something special either. So there's a number of teams in this mix that on the day could do something spectacular. They could do something incredible. And any of the teams that put in 110% of their performance or 100% of their top performance in, up against any of the others that only manage a 90, that's enough. They're close enough in terms of performances that'd be enough to change the result. So the teams that are here, there's a number of them that are very capable of beating all of the others on their day. It's just so exciting. For players that are coming, just so you know, in anticipation of this being a potentially brilliant day, we have in the programme put in a couple of pages where people can collect autographs. So if you're a player that's coming, bring a pen, because you might start getting to be, throughout the day, being asked to sign programmes as mementos for people to take away. So also, you can do your own and take your own away from others as well. But that's just a little thing just to drop in. We are anticipating a brilliant week, a brilliant day, and a brilliant set of fixtures.
Absolutely. So Sunday at the Derby Arena, tickets are free. Please go on the WFA social media and or the Eventbrite page and type in WFA, Bring the Noise, and come and watch what we think will be the most attended, highly anticipated Powerchair football event this country has ever seen. And there's lots going on in and around the quarterfinals and semi-finals, and we really hope you can be there. As mentioned in part one, the semi-final draw will take place following the conclusion of the last quarterfinals, and then the winners of said semi-finals will progress and move to St George's Park, where the national spotlight will be on them for the FA Disability Cup weekend, which is of course televised on TNT Sports. But anyone and everyone that's tuned into this episode of the 2-on-1 Powerchair Football Podcast, powered by MK Battery, we thank you. Please follow Nick and Dean's journey, and we hope to see you there on Sunday.
Just before we go, those of you watching this is not a new WFA setup, by the way.
If only.
If only, me and Adam would be very, very happy. Me and Ryan would be very happy. Adam, I was about to mention, Adam and the boys here at INIT Creative have been extremely generous in letting us use their podcast studio. It's absolutely an amazing facility. I couldn't get too excited when I first came in this morning because we had the podcast due, but I can tell you as soon as we've stopped recording, I'm looking around at all these toys.
There's a lot of gadgets.
There's a lot of gadgets, and I'm kind of like a kid in a toy shop. What a wonderful facility we've got here. Absolutely brilliant. And a massive thank you to INIT Creative for their support and letting us do this here. Absolutely brilliant stuff. So thank you, Ryan. Much appreciated. Looking forward to seeing you on Sunday for all the excitement, and bring the noise.
Bring the noise.
Thank you. Cheers, mate. Much appreciated.